Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Voltha TST for May 3rd, 2022. We just have a few items on the agenda, so I don't think this is going to be incredibly long as a meeting. We wanted to start reminding everyone that on the 19th and 20th of May, there is an ONF meetup in Berlin. You can find more information at the link in the TST document. So go check it out and join if you can. Second item we have on the agenda is LWC. I don't have any update on it so far. Last week we discussed that the potential difference in the number that we're seeing at ONF and that is observed at radices is probably due to the fact that at ONF we run it with ATCD, while at radices they're running it against Redis, and we were running it against a 3-node ATCD cluster with persistency enabled, while Redis was a single node. So if you guys can send us the instruction on how to deploy LWC using Redis as a backend, we can run some tests and validate the numbers and make sure we all are on the same page and see the same numbers.
Hey, Matteo, this is Raj. Yes, we can do it. Unfortunately, folks like Abhilash or Suhas who would be able to do it for you are not on the call today because it's a holiday in Radisys India. Okay. But if you would be so kind to just make the same request on the Slack channel, I will also make sure that they are aware of the request here. And if you do it on the Slack channel, we will make sure that you have those instructions if you don't already have them, okay? Or if they're not already there in the Slack channel, okay?
Yeah, I haven't checked this morning,
Okay.
but we were wrong Slack. But yeah, no. Okay, so I'll get in touch offline with you guys to get the instruction and run this and validate the numbers that you gave us, because they look very promising.
Yeah, on LWC, I also have a point. So I discussed it with the Radisys folks, and the Radisys team has made the internal steps and agreed to open sourcing the code if there is an agreement to the TST. This does not mean that right now it becomes the de facto standard for the future, because we have not yet made that decision. But what Radisys is willing to do, and for which I think we should all be very grateful, is to open source the code so that the people can actually take a look at it. And like, for example, these things that Matteo is investigating and like the instructions on how to deploy become a lot more easier because you actually see the Helm charts and see how the code is working. So I would like to hear if there are any objections to open sourcing the code of LWC. I will still send an email out to the TST and for final confirmation. But my plan, if according to what the next step should be, is if the TST agrees, is to create a repository, call it lightweight controller or something under the open core GitHub, and allow push to the Radisys folks. It's going to be as usual, set up the Gerrit, and the usual tests could be run. Maybe they're not going to be run for the first iteration of the open sourcing, and it's going to be an iterative process, as I believe it's going to be. Yeah, that is what I hear the Radisys team is willing to do, for which, again, I am very grateful. Raj, anything to add from your end?
Andrea, no, you have accurately captured it. Our intention that we have shared with this community now for almost 4 months, if I'm not mistaken, more or less, is still the same, has not changed. We were just waiting for the LWC Docker images performance testing that has been obviously ongoing. And if there are no objections from the Voltha TST and the larger community, then we are ready, as agreed and as suggested, to go ahead and open source the code for LWC.
That's great, Raj. Thanks. So I would like to open up the floor and see if there is anybody that objects to this right here. Or has any questions about it. Feel free. Okay, then if not, what I'll do, as I said, after this meeting later today, I will send out an email to the Voltha TST channel, is an internal channel. So don't worry if you don't see it. To kickstart the final voting of this and ask for an opinion if there are any objections. If there are not any objections, I'll reach out to you, Raj, and I'll set up the repos accordingly for LWC to be open sourced, and I'll send them to you and your team so that you guys can upload the code, and we can disable a few checks maybe at the beginning to allow you to open source it and get some feedback for some of the tests that need to be made.
Sounds good, Andrea.
Okay, thanks, Raj. Anything that people want to add on this topic, or any questions that you guys would like to mention? Okay, then if not, I'll have to drop. I'm sorry, I have another thing in parallel, so let Theo continue with the TST, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. Thanks.
Okay, if there are no other questions on LWC, I wanted to thank Radis as well for open sourcing the code. I'm looking forward to work more on it. Moving on with the remaining topics on the agenda, I believe the delete flows on for disable event fix was merged by Andrea earlier this week. So the original behavior we had in 2.8 is now back in 2.9 and master. So this item can definitely be crossed out. For the OLT disconnection, Girish, was these is this something you are aware of?
Yes, I was aware of that. So Amit made a proposal. There was no comments on that. So Amit, said that he would work internally with his team to start an implementation on this.
Yeah, this is Amit. We haven't started on it yet, but yeah, we will be starting on it in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for the update. Well, I think this ONF/BBF, Girish, you're picking up the work from Ilya, and I think you're setting up the environment, so it'll probably start making progresses sometime in the near future.
Right. So I have picked up where Ilya left. I'm still setting up the environment, as you said, and yeah, the goal is to have something working by end of June before we make the Voltha 2.10 release, and then hand off to Raj's team so that they can finally demo that. I don't know, sometime in October in BBF forum. And that's the goal.
Okay, thanks for confirming. And I think the last item on the agenda is the new TST lead and the 2 open spots on the TST. So if you want to nominate yourself or someone else, please reach out to Andrea. I think the time for nomination is coming up very soon. So if you have someone in mind, don't hesitate to suggest it. And I think I've seen David on the call today. So last week we had the opportunity to thanks Ken and say hi to him, and I would very much like to do the same with David because his contributions were great on the project. So thank you, David, for all you have done.
It's been a pleasure and a great experience. All the people in this group that work on this project, very impressive.
David, this is Raj from Redis. I think I will second that from Theo as well. I know maybe I've not worked with you and the rest of this team for a very long time, but I have been following on the sidelines for at least 5 years, if not more, David. And I've seen some of your contributions, and basically you, along with Andrea and Saurav and the rest of the team here, like Girish and everybody else, Ken, and just the whole team here. But specifically you, David, we want to, at least from Redis' side, thank you for bringing Voltha to where it is today and laying the foundation for it along with others. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
This is everything we had on the agenda for today. Is there any other topic that we need to discuss?
Nothing from our side, Theo. I think we have some work to do in terms of bringing up the ONF lab infrastructure that has now been sent over to Redis, right? So we'll have a call with you separately after this one. And then, as we've all agreed, once Andrea makes the appropriate grid structures, we will start putting up the LWC code for everyone in the community to take a look and obviously work on improving it. Nothing else from us.
Yeah, definitely looking forward both of those things. Okay, so if there is anything else for today's TST, everyone will get 40 minutes back, and I'll talk to you soon, either via mail or Slack. And thank you for joining.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.